Hello, everyone. Welcome into Southeastern 14. I am Blayne Gilmer. Thank you so much for tuning in to your home for all things SEC sports. Chris Lee, Blake Level do a great job covering basketball, Max Barr as well. Chris is going to have you covered on baseball here in just about a month, but we're still talking about football because football in the SEC never, ever stops, guys. And when it comes down to it, we got to talk about the Tennessee Volunteers as a team to be reckoned with in the 2024 season. After we saw Nico Iamaleava's debut against Iowa as a starter, it is apparent that Tennessee has a quarterback that is going to be a difference maker going forward. But as we've seen in the NFL playoffs and different settings, it doesn't matter how good of a quarterback you have if you don't have an offensive line in front of him. And then ultimately, it doesn't matter how good your offense is if your defense is not stout. And Tennessee got better at both offensive line and defensive line yesterday. As we're recording this on January 22nd, on January 21st, Tennessee got a couple of big athletic bodies in there that are going to help that program out tremendously. And we're going to talk about both of those here in just a second. But guys, realize, hey, we are here with a 12-team playoff setting coming into place. A team like Tennessee, if you have the depth, they've always had the top line talent, you know, being there, that they recruit well, they get good transfers in, got weapons on the outside, things like that they're always able to do good with. But it's that depth at the interior on both lines of scrimmage that really separates some of these programs. But now you give a team like Tennessee some of this depth in there, and then you're able to go out and be physical, because that is what Josh Heupel's system likes to do, is be physical, establish a run to start off with, then it hits you over the top with the pass, and you have a quarterback like Nico. Could be really good for Tennessee. But speaking of the 12-team playoff, and we'll get into these two transfers here in just a second, we do have to tell you about our partner over at Bet Online, guys. Bet Online, they'll have you covered with college football odds, futures, and game-by-game odds, trends, and predictions all the way up until that 12-team college football playoff. Right now, you can bet on the NFL playoff games as the NFC and AFC championship and the Super Bowl will be coming up. Guys, NBA and the NHL are in full swing. There was a huge weekend of USC that just happened. There'll be more of those fights coming up. You can bet on Premier League soccer, whatever you would like. It can be found at betonline.ag. Head on over there, guys, to stay up to date on all your sports wagering information. Get those latest odds, and they are available to you with both desktop and mobile access at any time over at betonline.ag. Head there today to get into the action. Remember to use the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV, all caps, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Where we're going to start is on the defensive side of the ball for the Tennessee Volunteers, as they add versatile defensive lineman Jaxson Moy from Stanford. And I've watched Jaxson Moy. I've seen him flash in different games. He played in all of Stanford's games this year when I got the opportunity to watch a little bit of the now defunct Pac-12. Stanford had a monster of a defensive lineman here in Moy. He's a high motor guy. He's a guy that has a tremendous get off at the line of scrimmage. Very, very quick twitch guy, listed at 6'2", 303, maybe more 6'1". Not the tallest of guys, but plays with good leverage. He also does a good job of mixing up the looks that he gives opposing offensive linemen. What I mean by that, I mean he'll be able to, give you a quick quick stutter or a quick swim move, something along those lines, really penetrate into a gap. And then also he is capable of giving you that long arm, and then also utilizing a bull rush. He was able to drive people back and create pockets back in that offensive line, negative ones for the offensive line that running backs would have to run around the hump on, things of that nature. So Jaxson Moy is a physical and versatile defensive lineman that Tennessee can now add. I mean, whether it's guys like Amari Thomas, Norman Lott, Tyree West coming back, all of these people. And then he can even go up and down. I've seen him play the nose, and he's athletic enough where he could go all the way out to a 5 technique if needed at different points and time, and depending on your sub personnel and things like that. If they went with a little bit bigger front, he is athletic enough where he can go all the way up and down the line of scrimmage. He'll probably play a lot at a 2-eye 3 technique, things like that for Tennessee. But when it comes down to it, this is a guy who brings experience. Dominic Bailey, Tyree West, I mean, they've got to try to really kind of come on and take over at that defensive end position, and at that defensive end can play a 4, sometimes a 5, a 4-eye, different things of that nature. I think you're going to see, with now Moy being on this defensive rotation, that you're going to see him bring experience. He's very, very smart as well. And when he rushes the passer and he knows he's not going to get there, you can see he was well coached, gets those hands up, he'll bat down balls, do things of that nature. So I think they're getting a team-oriented guy that is also a just Tasmanian devil with his effort on the field. I think this is a big pickup for Tennessee in terms of having just some more experience. A guy who's played a lot of college football. Like I said, he started all 12 games for the Stanford Cardinal last year, and now he will be able to bring those game experiences with him to Knoxville as he will be on that defensive line. Listen, Tennessee's defense was one of the more opportunistic in terms of creating negative plays. They've gotten better and better against the run every year that Josh Heupel has been there. So I think this just shows, more commitment to adding playmakers and adding depth along that defensive line for Josh Heupel, and is a very, very good pickup for Tennessee on that defensive side of the ball. Listen, we all knew that they needed to address the secondary when they kind of had, some guys got processed out, some guys decided to leave, things of that nature. And they've made those adjustments. They went out and got a DB from Oregon State, got some different guys that can come in there and play. But I think up front, if you can pressure the quarterback and stop the run, up front, that helps you a whole lot on the back end if you got young guys learning and things of that nature. So really, really good job by Josh Heupel and company picking up Jaxson Moy from Stanford. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, I mentioned Nico needed protection. Well, he's got it now in Zalance Hurd, Zalance Hurd, whichever one he prefers to go by, depending on which outlet you see. But Hurd is 6'6", 340 pounds. He can move. He can bend. He played as a starter for LSU in the game against Army, played in all of the other games, or at least 12 games, in sparing pieces here and there. But listen, it's plain and simple. This is the situation. When you had Will Campbell at left tackle, when you had Emory Jones Jr. at right tackle, those are two premier offensive linemen that both were started a year ahead of Hurd here, and will now be 3-year starters for LSU. Hurd saw an opportunity to maybe put himself out there and see if there was an opportunity to actually have a chance to be a starter coming out of camp, and he's been provided that opportunity with Tennessee. Tennessee, of course, losing Gerald Mincey to Kentucky. Gerald Mincey elected to enter the transfer portal a couple of weeks ago and landed with the Kentucky Wildcats. He was the starter at right tackle. Now, Tennessee will still have John Campbell at left tackle. But at this point, coming into things as they stood right now, the Tennessee fan base was absolutely apoplectic, up in arms that Dane Davis was probably going to be their starter at right tackle if an addition was not made. I mean, you go look at message boards and it was in total meltdown mode because Dane Davis was going to be the starter right now. I have nothing against Dane Davis, but Dane Davis is not Zalance Hurd, okay? And he's not that kind of athlete that Hurd is. 6'6", 340 pounds. Like I said, he can bend, he can move, he changes direction well. So I think he's going to be a great addition at right tackle. They already had 3 offensive linemen coming back, and now with the addition of Hurd, I think you give this Tennessee offense, if they are good up front, and this is really any offense, right? You got to be good up front first, but if they have the ability, okay, to establish that run early, to kind of lean on you a little bit, and a guy like Hurd, who is 6'6", and has that kind of size to him. Now, he may need to trim down just a little bit from that 340, make sure he's in really good shape, but has that size, has that power, can lean on you a little bit. You have the experience at center there. Also, you have the experience at left tackle. You have experience at the right guard position. Guys, you should be able to get that gap scheme run, get that zone run going. We saw that Nico is not going to be spared from using his legs, as he had 3 rushing touchdowns against Iowa. So he has the ability to run the ball when Tennessee wants him to do so. And I think that will get things going for this Tennessee offense in 2024. It'll also help out those wide receivers a little bit, right? Because part of the problem for Tennessee was they were inconsistent at wide receiver. They lost Brew McCoy. Brew McCoy's coming back. You had some ups and downs with Ramel Keaton. You had times where they couldn't get the ball to squirrel wide effectively, things like that. I think the accuracy of Nico Iamaleava compared to that of Joe Milton is going to be night and day better for Tennessee. I think they just have simply a better quarterback coming into this year than they did last year, and adding a guy like this in Hurd in front of him to help keep him clean is going to be tremendous. But like I said, you know, even with the struggles of losing McCoy last year, Ramel Keaton having an up and down, Squirrel White not being able to get the ball to him as much as maybe they wanted, things like that, different pieces that they have to get the ball to there. They've also went out and added a tight end this year in Holden Stays, who's going to be an athletic player coming in from Notre Dame, originally out of the state of Georgia, out of high school, that is going to be a good player for them. I think having Hurd and having that run game going and having that threat of Nico's legs as well is going to just help those receivers become more and more open, guys, especially on play action game and stuff like that. And just giving them a catchable ball and giving them a chance to make a play is going to be a big deal. Something that Joe Milton just simply did not do all the time. And I think Nico is going to be able to do that well. This Tennessee team, guys, is one that I think now, with the addition of Hurd at right tackle and with being able to run the football well and also protect Nico, is a team that, hey, there's going to be probably 4, maybe even 5 teams from the SEC out of this 16-team league make this 12-team playoff. Can Tennessee be one of those? They're a team that I think suffered a little bit of trying to figure out what is the true measure of greatness. Well, it's consistency, and I don't think they were as consistent coming off that big season they had, 2 years ago, where they really burst onto the scene, got all the way up to number 1 in the country. They fell back a little bit, lost a little bit of talent. But I'm telling you, I think this Tennessee team is one that you could see be a sleeper team going forward. Let's look at some of the games here on this 2024 schedule for Tennessee. When it comes down to it, you got to circle 2 of the first 4 games for Tennessee, a neutral site game against NC State in Charlotte, which is that really neutral? No, that's in the state of North Carolina. So kind of basically a pseudo road game. Got Grayson McCall, who came over from Coastal Carolina. So Jaxson Moy being able to get after him and also being able to help stop that run game for NC State is going to play huge there. And that's going to be a big deal. Another reason why that transfer was big for Tennessee. Of course, they have Oklahoma, a trip to Oklahoma coming up in the 4th week of the season. That will be Nico Iamaleava's first true road game in Norman, Oklahoma. And guys, this is just another great thing that we're going to see. We're going to see these iconic brands, that Tennessee T on that helmet versus the OU over there in Oklahoma, the iconic jerseys, iconic brands, just tremendous matchups that we're going to see. And guess what? It's not going to be a death sentence for either team if you lose that game, because it's one loss and it's in a 12-team playoff era where eventually at some point you're going to see, and definitely from an SEC team, you're going to see a team that's 9-3 make it into that playoff, okay? Because of the strength of schedule, because of quality wins that they have, because of different things like that, because of the eye test. And I'm telling you, I think Tennessee, if they can get consistent play on the outside, I think they've kind of shored up things on the inside. I think they're going to be able to run the football well. I think Nico is going to be able to play, but if they can get consistent play on the outside from those receivers, I think you're looking at a really, really, really fun year for Tennessee, particularly just being able to operate the offense more efficiently like Josh Heupel wants to. That's the thing you missed from Joe Milton that you had from Hendon Hooker, and I think that you'll have more in Nico Iamaleava now that he's got, all 5 linemen there kind of settled going into spring. Lord willing, they stay free of injury. He ought to have a successful year in front of him. But like I said, NC State and Oklahoma are interesting games. Get a bye week after that Oklahoma and play at Arkansas. Get Alabama at home this year. Have to go to Georgia. But other than that, guys, I think it's a schedule that you can really, really navigate well. It's going to come down to 3 or 4 games, as it always does for Tennessee, and we'll see how things turn out in the fall. Guys, make sure you are tuned in right here to Southeastern 14, as we'll be going through everything, every piece of not only this Tennessee team, but this new SEC going forward. So excited to talk about, the different matchups there. We'll see Lance Hurd be able to go against some of these key offensive linemen. We'll see Jaxson Moy and how he's able to hold up against that both NC State front, that Oklahoma front, and then into SEC play as you keep going forward with Oklahoma being that first game of the SEC season. So excited for the season to come. I know we're just in January, but guys, spring ball will be right around the corner, and that's exciting news. Okay, got another portal window to keep up with. Who knows? Does Tennessee add someone in the second portal window? There's definitely going to be some movement with the way Alabama got its roster purged, and they're going to be wanting to get some people, so they'll be moving and shaking going on there as well. Probably some more coaching changes to come about. So there's always news, guys. College football never stops, and you want to be right here on Southeastern 14 to make sure you're getting all of your SEC sports news. Remember, Tennessee's basketball team doing very, very well. Chris Lee, Blake Lovell will have you covered on all things Vols there to make sure you are up to date with all the news, reaction, predictions, everything that you need right here at Southeastern 14 for SEC Sports. Remember, we are presented by Bet Online, and you can get that 50% discount on your welcome deposit over there by using the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for everyone at Southeastern 14. I'm Blayne Gilmer. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time to talk more Tennessee and more SEC sports, SEC football, especially with me right here at Southeastern 14.